Arthur Woolman's draft notice interrupted his dream, farming in Freeman, South Dakota, the year 1942. Woolman was 22. He had no way to know that he faced 3 years of combat in New Guinea and the Philippines, or that the war would deny him a return to his rural way of life. He also did not know that he would be wounded twice and receive a Silver Star and a Bronze Star for bravery in battle.
I wouldn't sell it for $1 million, and I wouldn't go back for $1 million. But I have nothing against the Army or anything, and I'm lucky to be alive. That's all I care.
He also cared about the men under him. Woolman quickly advanced to platoon sergeant, leading 53 men. One of the toughest parts of that job, Woolman says, is that he never knew what happened to his men when they were wounded and taken off the front line to be treated. Even tougher, Woolman says, was when his men were killed. That helped him set his approach to war.
My theory was, if I went out in combat to look for the Japs, that we're going to come back, not them. And my men all knew that we're going to stick together, help each other, and make sure that if one gets wounded, that we get him out. And if he gets shot and gets killed and we have to leave, make sure he's dead, that we didn't leave a live one. I was for my men. I believed in us coming back, not them.
Woolman first saw action in New Guinea, taking part in 3 beach landings. U.S. soldiers there faced not only enemy fire, but also obstacles the jungle imposed. Dense vegetation, rugged mountains, rain by night, temperatures near 120 by day, plus pesky mosquitoes.
We used to kid each other. Last night the mosquitoes were arguing, shall we eat them here or carry them away? While they were arguing, we took off and left them argue.
Humor helped them cope with the weather conditions, as well as the relentless beat of battle. Woolman managed to escape injury during his first 2 years of the war, but his luck changed in late 1944 during the campaign to take Leyte Island in the Philippines. Of the company of 250 that were first sent in, 75 were killed in the first 15 minutes, cut down by machine guns. When Woolman's company pulled out, only 15 of the 250 were left. Woolman was wounded by shrapnel. He still remembers the exact day, December 18th, 1944. He spent 2 weeks in a hospital recovering. He says he needed the break to regain his confidence so he could again lead his men. The break was brief. They were soon back in battle. His platoon succeeded in seizing a key island road. For his part in that, Woolman received a Bronze Star. Later, he received a Silver Star for his action during the Battle of Luzon, another island in the Philippines. During that battle, he began to fear the Japanese were moving to attack his company from behind, so with the permission of his company commander, Woolman headed back to check.
I took off with myself, and I happened to get caught back there. They were trying to get in behind us, and we was up on the high hill, and they were coming up to cut us off, and I was apt to see one standing up going to take a shot at me, and I just turned around and got him. And when I did that, the one must have been about 30 or 40, it seemed to me, getting up trying to get me, and I jumped behind a kind of a rock or whatever it was, and I just kept shooting, throwing hand grenades. I shot all my rounds. I had 180 rounds. I shot them up. I had about 7 grenades. I threw them. After I had that, I had only one left, and each platoon sergeant carried a thermal grenade. And I figured, well, here it goes. So I threw that, and the fire started burning the grass and that, and they must have thought I had a secret weapon because they took off. And of course, when they took off, I took off back to my platoon and company.
Woolman believes he killed about 20 Japanese. Somehow, he escaped without a scratch, physically. But afterward, Woolman says he smoked 3 cigarettes in a half hour, hoping they would help him stop shaking. It was the first and last time he smoked. Woolman saw his last combat in April 1945. His platoon was attempting to take a hill when 4 machine gun slugs hit him, piercing a wrist, lung, and kidney, as well as his liver. Woolman was sent back to the States, recuperating at a Washington hospital. His wrist, liver, and lung returned to normal, but he lost 1 kidney. After recovering, Woolman rejoined the family farm operation, which had moved from Freeman to Hurley while he was away at war. But he gave it up after 5 years. The farm labor was too much for his remaining kidney.
I just loved farming, and it was very, very hard for me to give it up.
Woolman went on to have a successful career with the VA hospital in Sioux Falls, but for years he would have nightmares about his combat experience. In fact, his wife Elvira was first afraid to share a bed with him when they married in 1955, 10 years after his military service. But Woolman says he learned to live with the nightmares, which decreased over time. He says every time he had one, he would wake and say to himself, "Thank God it's just a dream." For South Dakota Public Broadcasting, I'm Pat Mack.